Hey guys, it's Cisco, and this is the new Sideshow Red Sonja premium format exclusive. And this is the old Sideshow Red Sonja premium format exclusive, which I happen to have here because I got out of storage a while ago, anticipating the new one, and thought, maybe with the new one coming that I might decide to sell it. So I figured the best thing to do was to set them both up, and after I finish reviewing the new one, I'll do a quick separate video just sort of comparing the two, and I'll tell you which one I like better and why. So just back to this one, first up, I'm actually pretty impressed with it. And so when Sideshow get in a new piece, they unbox one and they post some pictures up for everyone to see what they're getting before they ship them out. And those pictures are absolutely terrible. They are I don't know why you would release pictures that make pieces look worse than they do, but they really did, and they're just the pictures were washed out, and they make the colors look dull and they lose all the details. So compared to those pictures, this looks much better in hand than the pictures made them look. So I'm pretty happy with it, I have to say, overall. Does it look exactly like the prototype? No, it doesn't. But does it look enough like the prototype that I'm happy? Yes, it does. So it's probably one of the most complex premium formats that Sideshow has done, to my memory, with the snake base, all the details on the armor and things like that. And they have managed to pull it off. There are some differences from the prototype, which I'll try and point out. But overall, I'm pretty happy. So I'll get in closer now and try and show you guys all the details. So her face is absolutely beautiful, and a lot of that is down to the sculpt on this, which is magnificent. But they've managed to keep her face looking really good, eyes pointing in the same direction. Her lips have a slight gloss to them, which looks really nice. You can see the earring in there as well. They've done the makeup well. It doesn't look overdone. The eyebrows look nice as well. So the hair, to my eye, I'm not a painter or anything like that, looks like they've used two different tones of red to just sort of create some highlights and some contrast. But it looks really nice. And like I said, the sculpt on it is beautiful with all the strands flowing in different directions. It really looks alive. Yeah, really beautiful. So then just coming down to her armor. So the armor has a slight weathering effect to it, which looks really good in my opinion. So these highlight parts, which are sort of a brassy color gold on the production piece, were originally a gold color on the prototype. So that's a slight change from the proto, but one that doesn't bother me at all, because this brass color still goes well with the rest of the colors and still looks nice. And this part here is interesting. So obviously they've got the sculpted breast piece on there, and then these little parts that sort of connect around. And the one up the top, it looks very fragile and prone to breakage, but this whole, the seam is underneath this. So this part lifts off, and there's that little lip part that just sort of sits on top of the sculpted part. So they don't actually connect, but they look like they do. So it just sort of prevents breakage, which I think is very clever. So coming down to the chest, the armor looks really nice, and they've got the little piece that looks like it's tied up in the front there. Coming down to the arms, so you can see her physique is outstanding. You've got the muscle definition, you've got her ribs there, there's little folds in the skin. You can see some veins sort of popping out. It looks great. So you've got the shoulder armour there. Coming down to her gloves. The texturing on all the leather parts is excellent. Little folds in it. It's got designs kind of done in it. The designs on the hands and the boots here have a slight gold applied to it. Looks really nice. And the hilt of the sword coming down to the sword blade. So obviously there's blood applied to the blades and the axe, which is quite similar to the prototype, and I really thought that was one of the things they were potentially going to screw up, that it would just look like someone had got a texter, like a marker, and just marked on some blood, because that always looks really terrible. But it doesn't. It actually looks like blood spatter. I'm pretty happy with that. I should mention, actually, so the swords are like a metal material. Can't say exactly which type of metal, but they are metal. Whereas the axe blade feels like a resin or perhaps a thick plastic. It still looks good. I was really worried about that. Some people had pointed that out. But it really doesn't look too bad. And I'm guessing the axe, which is quite large, just would have been too heavy, possibly, to be metal. And again, as some people have pointed out, the magnets on this aren't great. Mine don't feel like it's going to immediately fall off or anything like that, but some people have had ones like that. And that's just unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. I mean, how long have you been in business, Sideshow? You need to ship things with magnets that are going to hold in the long term, and that, you know, people aren't going to wake up in the morning and have arms having fallen off and broken. So some people have gone to the lengths of adding an extra magnet in between, and I will probably go that route in the future as well. So I just wanted to mention that. So then coming down the front, again, her physique looks excellent. So this is one of the great little details that some people have pointed out. So this ring here actually has the little lip of skin, which is very realistic, as if, you know, because that's what it would really do to the skin, sort of push it outwards like that. So got the details on the armour on the leg. Coming down, there's more blood spatter around her legs and feet. And the boots look absolutely excellent with the stitching details. And there's this like what looks like leather straps going around, but they're a different colour to the rest of the boot, and they've got a little gold buckle there, and there are these like lips of the inner leather, like draping over that other leather. It just looks so realistic. And then you've got the black sole at the bottom, and then these designs again, which you can see has some slight gold application on it. It's just beautiful. And again, the blood spatter actually looks nice and realistic. So you've got the chainmail type armor coming down the front there. Really nice sculpt on that. It looks really nice. I'll just do the axe while I'm here. So there's the other hand, the axe blade. Again, you can kind of like, you can tell it's not the same material as the swords, but it just doesn't look as bad as I thought. If I trusted Sideshow to have super strong magnets and that this wasn't going anywhere, then I would have liked it to be metal. But since that's, you know, not necessarily the case, then I'm happier that they, you know, didn't make a giant heavy axe blade that's going to fall off later. So this is just the hilt of the axe. Sorry, I'm trying to get that in focus for you. It is a nice kind of a wood grain finish. Sorry, it's just kind of there. Yeah, so that does look nice. It looks quite like wood. All right, and then getting down to the base. So there are a couple of changes on this statue from the prototype, and probably the base is the biggest change. And of those changes, most of them are slight, but one slightly bigger, which I'll point out in a minute. So just starting at the bottom, so you've got what looks like maybe part of a temple or something like that, rocks, and the texture on the rocks and the paint application feels very realistic to me. It really actually looks like it's some kind of stone, which is great. And then, so this part here jutting out is kind of connected to the base, but then this part is an extra little part that plugs in. So it's got a peg and a little magnet on it. And I just want to point out, because it kind of made me laugh, that's actually off the ground by a good few centimeters. So it's just kind of floating there. And you don't really notice unless, like, I would point it out to you. I don't know, I just found that kind of funny. There's an extra part there that plugs in, and somewhere around the other side too, but we'll get to that. So yeah, happy with the rock part of the base. It looks very nice. And then another thing I'm really happy with is the snake head, because that's one of the other things I was worried about, but it actually looks really nice. So the snake is a mostly yellow color with some black applied to it. I checked out some pictures and videos of the proto, and there was slightly more green tones, especially on the scales parts in the snake. So it's more straight yellow now rather than that green, but it looks nice, so I'm not too bothered by that. The eye was also more a green with gold color, and now it's a yellow with gold color. But again, when I look at it, it looks nice. If I didn't know what the proto looked like, I wouldn't be bothered. The big fangs look great, as does the inner of the mouth and the tongue, which comes down the front here. I would have liked some more. It does look quite glossy on camera. I would have liked some more gloss inside the mouth to make it look wet, but that is something I could apply later. It would be nice if I didn't have to, but yeah, it is slightly glossy. It just really should be more glossy to me. Okay, so I'm just going to go around the snake. I'll get you just another shot of the eye. It does look good. And then the snake scales there. And here's where it's been sliced in half and she's stepping through. That's a really nice touch. So you've got a sliced half there and a sliced half here. And then of course the innards there. I'll just keep going around. So here's where there are some ribs jutting out of the snake. In terms of the blood application on this piece, this part of it probably looks the worst. If you can kind of see there, it just kind of looks like someone's dabbed a few paint splotches on. But yeah, it's not that it's terrible, it's just everywhere else on the statue it looks better than that. And then there's the ribs, which have some texture on them. They're a browny kind of colour. I feel like maybe they should be a bit more ivory, but I can't pretend to know what the ribs of a snake would look like. So then at the end of the snake jutting out, there's a piece of what looks like spine with some blood on it. Again, the blood on that's not great, but what are you going to do? And then it comes to, so there's like what looks like an intestine here and a part of stomach or liver or something like that here. So in terms of the whole piece, this part here for me is the part that was is the most different from the prototype, and the part that looks the least good on the whole statue is these little innard pieces here. So the intestine part has got this whole like covering, it's got a whole layer of like blood on it. And the same with this little piece here. And it just, I don't know, I can't really put my finger on what bothers me about it. When you look at the whole statue, you don't even really notice, and it doesn't look that bad. It's just, so I went back and looked at the prototype, and this part was like a light, creamy, pinky color, sort of what intestines would look like. And this was a slightly lighter color too, this sort of liver looking part, and they just looked a lot more realistic. It really just looked like the snake had been cut open and they'd fallen out, whereas this kind of looks like they've fallen out and then been, you know, covered with some blood. I just, you know, I'm just trying to point out things that were different, and that is definitely different, and I don't think it's as good. Does it really bother me? No. I mean, when I look at the whole piece, really, I actually like it, and maybe that's got something to do with the fact that I love Red Sonja. She's one of my favorite female comic characters, potentially even my favorite. So I really want to like this statue, and I do. I really do like it. So the only other thing I can point out that I think is not good is that, so this piece of the tongue is a separate piece that connects into here, which I think is probably a good idea, because having these pieces hang off the base like that, you're just asking for breakage. Although this, I say that, and then I noticed that this piece of intestine is just kind of hanging there and it's draping off the base. So anyway, there is this sort of ugly looking seam just near her foot, but you're not going to display her on the side like this. So you're going to have her turned at least somewhat, you know, either all the way to the front or more to the side like this, and her foot is obstructing the seam. So that's not, it's, I just thought I would point it out, but it's not actually a problem as far as I'm concerned. So in terms of angles of display, so you can have her turned all the way like this, so she's kind of facing you. Sorry, I'll just let you get a better shot of that. So you can have it like that. You can see the axe head really nice. You can see some of the innards and the sword, and then you can have her sort of bit more turned like that. She's kind of looking off into the distance, looking really focused. You can see more of the snake's mouth like that. And then you can have her, turned even a bit more like that. And she looks good at all of those angles. There's, you know, a fairly wide angle that you can display her at. What I do like about having her turned a bit more is that as soon as you then get closer, you can see the eye of the snake as well as the whole snake's mouth when you walk up to it. And that's great because the eye and the face of the snake is really done, like, I really like it. And so when you have her turned straight to the front, looking to the front, when you come up, you can see the mouth of the snake, but you don't really see the eye and the head. It's quite far back, unless you had her displayed down low, which is also a possibility. But so yeah, I like having her turned a bit more so that yeah, you can just see the whole innards of the snake as well as the eye and everything like that. Okay guys, I think that's all I have to say on this one. I will have more to say when I'm comparing the two of them, but really just to sum up, I'm quite happy with the piece. I really am. I love it. I love the sculpt. I think it's a fantastic representation of Red Sonja, and as a Red Sonja fan, that makes me very happy. I've just realized this video has gone 20 minutes, so I sincerely apologize for that. There's just so much detail in this piece, and I wanted to try and point all of it out. So yeah, I mean, I think Sideshow probably hit maybe 80-90% of the proto, and I think that's probably what they're going for on a piece like this, and I think they achieved it. So I'm happy, I'm satisfied as a customer. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. I'll try and keep the videos a bit more brief in the future, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Okay, thanks guys, bye. Hey guys, I'm back again. I'm so sorry, this is the review that never ends. I just realised I forgot to switch out to the other sword during the review, to give you a look at how she looks with both swords. So the axe is the exclusive, and I absolutely love the axe. I'm probably going to, when I set this up, put the axe on and then just leave it and never change it, because I think it has a really nice presence to it, due to the size, and just, yeah, I really like how it looks. However, she looks great with the two swords anyway, so if you've only got the reg, it's not really a big loss. She looks great either way, so I just thought I'd put them on and give you a quick look. So that's the other sword. Obviously it's mostly the same as the sword on the other side. It's got the blood spatter. It's also made out of metal. So yeah, that's how she looks with two swords. Still great. I realised I forgot to get you a shot of the back as well, so I'll just do that quickly. Just the way they've sculpted the muscle tone and like the crease in her back, and it's just really phenomenal. The sculpt was Will Harbottle, and he does amazing work. There's also this dagger that I missed before, sorry about that. So this is just a peg and it pegs in. Yeah, that's a really nice little detail. So there we go. I think this is it this time. Sorry about that. I always seem to forget something. But thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, guys. And I hope to catch you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.